I did want to discuss this because there's been a lot of chatter in the college football coaching landscape about Mel Tucker possibly going to LSU. I know College Football on Fox put out a tweet about that, and I know that they have kind of some video reaction to the possibility. And Art, we have that. Art has this one for you.
All right, so we've talked a lot about coaches on the hot seat the last couple of weeks. Let's turn the tables. How about some coaches whose stock has really been improving lately?
Rob, let's start with Mark Stoops. He has Kentucky primed to win its second double-digit season in a 4-year stretch. At Kentucky, that's pretty remarkable. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. People have taken note of how Ole Miss is on the rise. But another name to keep an eye on is Mel Tucker at Michigan State. Brady and Matt had just talked about an amazing job he's done now in year 2 with the Spartans. But I am told that there are some very influential people inside LSU who are really, really high on Mel Tucker. Remember, Mel Tucker was an assistant at LSU on Nick Saban's staff. He knows the SEC very well also. But would he make another move? Remember, he was at Colorado, now Michigan State. Would he make another big move in a short period of time? But this I do know. People inside LSU who matter, they are really high on Mel Tucker.
Yeah, what's not to like?
And that was Bruce Feldman from Fox Sports. And look, this has been a very divisive topic around these parts because obviously the Michigan fans want to see him go. The Michigan State fans
want him to stay.
You know, it's a very divisive topic that's getting a lot of gasoline thrown on the fire around here. Joik, I go to you. What your thoughts?
I mean, what he came in and did with this program, taking a program that was falling, was able to bring in his own philosophy, was able to get the players to come in and play for him. You know, it's going to be tough. How do you turn down LSU? That's where the big money is. Now, you know, and he's at the position now where, you know, he loves his players. You're gonna love the organization, or you're gonna love the institution. You're gonna love the people there, and you built this. You built this whole legacy there. Now, how do you pack up and just leave? And people don't understand, like, when that money costs, and right now LSU, they got that check.
They do, and I know
LSU
when you go
that
through the
check.
rankings, and Mel Tucker, I believe, is the 13th highest paid coach in college football right now, but Ed Orgeron's the 3rd highest paid head coach. He's going to make $8.7 million, and we're not huge math guys here, D-Mac. You admit that. I admit that as well, but 8.7 to 5.6 is a lot. In percentages, it's a lot.
Well, absolutely. We're talking M's too, but here's the thing. I think it depends on what Mel Tucker's motivation is, because everything you've said, it goes back almost to what is his end game. If his end game is to coach in the NFL, I think that probably going to LSU, not only for the pay cut, but for the exposure and different things, gets him closer to that. But if it's about making this Michigan State program the best program in the state, you know, competing with that, I think that goes to the motivation. So if this is a serious conversation, he should be in discussions for any of those top jobs because of what he's done and the pedigree is. And I like what Canuck Duke says isn't the saying is you lose them the same way you found them? So it's, you know, one of these things. But again, it goes down to what is Mel Tucker's motivation. And to me, I think that it's one of these things that he's building the momentum, and Michigan State means something to him. So yeah. I think there's got to be more incentive to his big package. But I think that he'll still be sought after if they keep improving.
Yeah.
So stock
it's only going to get worse.
It's like your Bitcoin.
Does he want to be right?
Yeah.
In a minute, nobody's going to be able to afford him. It's going to be based on what where do you want to be? And I think he's in that position now to say, you know what, I want to coach where I want to be. Now, is that at MSU? Is that at LSU? Does he want to build a legacy here, be known as one of the greatest coaches in MSU history, be the most winningest coach in MSU history? Does he want to stay there and chase that? Does he want to take MSU to a championship, a national championship? What's your incentive?
Chuck, who is a noted Michigan fan on our YouTube chat thread, but pretty reasonable guy, says if Michigan's dependent on State to lose their coach to beat them, then Michigan doesn't deserve to win. And Chuck, again, you're one of I have a couple Michigan fan friends that I go to that are real, that have real discussions and stuff like that. And I feel like you're along those lines. And that's my point about it, too, where all the gas that's been thrown on this fire by Michigan fans, I would feel about it the same way that you do if I were a Michigan fan, because I would worry about my program. And I would worry about, because I'll tell you who's not on that list of top 13 coaches, top 2 coaches, and that's Jim Harbaugh. Like that after the salary restructuring and all that stuff, he's fallen back to just another guy in the college football coaching circles. But with all that being said, and I knew that people were going to go to this and compare it to the Saban thing when Saban left Michigan State to go down to LSU. Michigan State, I think, was in a much different place at that time, as far as the people in charge, as far as the decision makers, as far as the administration, all those kinds of things. But both you guys know this, and I've never understood this. And I work in college sports, but the administrators that allow coaches to leave / hire bad coaches / have programs and oversee programs that never get better. The heat should be turned up on these guys.
They always skate.
Yeah, they always skate for some reason, and I never understand why. Like, they're basically the GMs of the team. That's what they are.
Very much true.
And yet they never come under fire or anything like that. And if I'm a Michigan State fan, I'm looking to my administration and saying, we cannot let this happen. Because I'll tell you guys a story. We were playing down at Alabama. This was the year that they played Notre Dame in the national title. And we were playing them on Saturday, and the national title game was on Monday. And Tuscaloosa was empty. And there were signs like hanging from the dorm room saying, be back on Tuesday with a trophy in tow and stuff like that. I was talking to one of the Alabama boosters, and I asked him, point blank, I said, do you guys worry about the NFL coming at Nick Saban and saying, we want you back at the NFL with the bag? And his words to me, he looked me right in the eye. I'll never forget this. He goes, shoot, we got a special fund for that. And then 6 months later, his house was paid off. Yeah. Like a $2 million house was paid off by boosters. That's if I'm a Michigan State fan, that's my demand right now, is we do not let this guy go.
Well, and here's the one thing, to your point about boosters, right?
Yeah.
You look at one of the biggest boosters, Ishba and whole, you know what I mean?
So, it's different waters now.
The boosters have, right, for Michigan State, the game's changed, right? Because now there's boosters that can keep them here if they want to keep them here, because that conversation.
Yeah.
And with the NIL and all these different things, it opens it up. So
opens it all the way up.
It opens it all the way up. So it'll be interesting. So you don't have to fight against going to the big conference because there's the money and there's none here. That shouldn't be an issue.
It shouldn't be an issue. That's why every male athlete at MSU is getting $1,000 a month from Ishbia.
500, I think.
Yeah, whatever that number is.
Whatever that number is. Hey, who else is doing that around them? I mean, smaller schools can't compete with that. They can't. You tell, it's a big thing where we have Keyshawn Harris on here, and he talks about how when he goes to U of M for his visit, he sees all the Jordan apparel, from the clothes to the shoes, wrapping all the way around the room. He said, like, listen, this is what you're gonna have when you come here, And you get a kid, they looking out, they're gonna take care of us here. They're gonna take good care of us here, and guys see that and say, you know what, I'm gonna come back for another visit. This might be the look for me. This is what I want. It plays a major role.
Yeah.
It plays a major role. People don't understand that.
100%. It does.
It does.
That's a part of the reason for Oregon's rise.
You
a big part of it.
Big part. Nike came in and donated all that stuff. They have the
122 different uniform combinations. All of it.
Listen, I tell you, when I sit here and tell you, these are the hardest uniforms in college football. These are the best ones. And then you talk to guys, and guys, they have their own USB, their own Wi-Fi. They have these big lockers. It's ridiculous. They have the players' lounges that are state of the art. That's better than most NFL lounges, player lounges. It's crazy.
Yeah. Detroit Dabber 313 says Ishbia will open up the checkbook. Michigan State has boosters too. They will pay if they have to, and they're going to have to,
yep.
and they better. I mean, again, that's a bottom line. And administration, athletic directors, they got to figure out how to keep this guy here. Dave Swaniger says LSU has won 3 national championships in the last 20 years with 3 different coaches. Only Bama can say they've won more natties in that time. And that's why it's real, Dave. That's why these discussions are real, because they will make it rain. And they'll walk in there, and you can win a national title there. My question always goes to Michigan State fans: can you win a national title at Michigan State? Because that's what drives these guys. That's what drives these coaches. That's what drives everybody. You know, the reason I do my craft, I want to be the best in the world at what I do. You know, DMAC, you want to be the best hockey player. Like, that's what drives everybody as far as this day and age goes. And Sharp Derp says, do you judge Ward on the football program alone, or do you consider Michigan's basketball and hockey programs? Well, Sharp, I would ask you, do you judge Michigan's income as a department more on the football or on the basketball and the hockey programs? And we both know the answer. And I know these are hard discussions to hear, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, but the football drives the ship. That's what it is. The reason the Big Ten Network cuts a $30+ million check to every institution in the Big Ten is because of the football. Yeah, the basketball contributes, but being realistic, that's what it is, guys.